Okay, our first lecture today is, not just today, all the time, is that what makes something alive. Okay, here we are in biology. Biology is defined as we said before, study of life. All right, so the question is, what makes something alive? What makes something alive? Okay, you don't have to write. By the way, are you sure is not, this is a question to ask you. Are you sure? What makes something alive? So, as I just wrote on the board, here we are in biology, study of life. And so if we're going to study life, we probably should know what it is. We need to know what it is. This is a not to write down page. Life, I define this as a state of not being dead. And you're like, that's dumb. A state of not being dead. What does that mean, a state of not being dead? Well, if you're not dead, you're alive. Okay, I'll let you think about that for a minute. Or a state of not being not alive. Oh, what the heck does that mean? A state of not being not alive. A state of not being not alive means that you were alive. Okay, in biology, we study things that either are or were alive. Now, if you're dead, you're not alive, but you were alive. If you are not alive, you were never alive. Example of something that was never alive. Jot one down. Example of something that was never alive. So you're jotting one down right now. A rock. Never alive. We don't really study rocks in here. We talk about rocks. We'll talk about rocks as part of biology, but we aren't really going to study rocks. We're not going to study dirt. We're not going to study how these stools are put together. We're not going to study how the building is put together with concrete, which was never alive. We could talk about wood, because wood was once alive. Fun little link here to show you. So the gazelle in that ad, or in the video, was alive and is now not. Not very smart gazelle, but he's now not alive. Or no, he was alive, therefore now he's dead. All right, so with that out of the way, let's talk about five characteristics that all living things have in common. There are 5 characteristics all living things have in common. Thing number 1, all living things grow and develop. All living things grow and develop. Oh, there's a little baby. All of you looked like this at one point in your life. All of you were bald, relatively bald, really very little muscle structure, all kind of pudgy. Babies are considered all cute and cuddly and pudgy because they really don't have any muscle structure. They're baby fat. There's fat lining all over their body to keep them warm because their their nervous system hasn't really matured to the point yet where it can control their body temperature. So they're born with this layer of fat. And now, not only do all living things grow, but you have to develop. When you're born, your head is 1/3 the size of your body. Now it's about 1/10. Okay, actually maybe a little less. If your head was 1/3 the size of your body, imagine that you would have a 2 foot. If you're a 6 foot tall person, my head would go down to my chest. Okay, that'd be a giant head. But because of the fact that you develop muscles, you develop a different kind of hair, you develop taller, your bones grow faster than your head, so you don't look so funny anymore. Okay, and as I said here, you would look pretty funny if you just grew and didn't also develop. Your puppy develops, your kitten develops, a baby hippopotamus develops, a little tree turns into a big tree and it develops. All living things develop, grow, and develop. Number 2, all living things reproduce. If you're going to keep life going, you need to make more. There are 2 types of reproduction. First kind is called asexual, prefix a meaning not, sexual, no partner needed. Another word you will read for that is fission. Single-celled organisms do asexual reproduction. Maybe some of you are wishing humans could do asexual reproduction because, hey, it would be pretty easy. It'd be a pretty cheap date. Want to go out? Sure, I'll go out. You ask yourself, you want to go out for a date? Yeah, I should go out for a date. And there we go. Asexual reproduction, but instead, us humans and most other organisms practice sexual reproduction, where we must have another organism of our kind. Okay? All living things need to make more. Reproduction. All living things reproduce. 2 types of reproduction. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. We'll talk more about those later on this year. Number 3. All living things obtain and use energy. All living things obtain and use energy. Right here, this picture is of a anaconda in China. And right here is the snake's eye. Right in here is the gazelle it just ate. Snakes are pretty incredible organisms. There are 2 different ways. Now, the key here is that not only do you get energy, but you use energy. Okay, you have to have a way to get energy. You have to have a way to use energy. There are different methods. First way to get energy is called being heterotrophic. We'll use this word all year. Heterotrophic. If you are heterotrophic, let's break that word down. Hetero means other. Trophic means feeding. If you are heterotrophic, you go out and get your food. You go get your food from somewhere. Okay? I am heterotrophic. I go to the grocery store. A fox is heterotrophic. It hunts its food. It has to go get it. It has to, I don't know how else to say this. You just have to kind of get the idea that anything that eats some other living thing is heterotrophic. Anything that eats some other living thing is heterotrophic. The second kind would be something that doesn't have to eat other living things. Autotrophic. Auto means self. You are self-feeding. You make your own food. What kinds of things do this? Plants. Plants make their own food. There are some single-celled organisms that make their own food. Okay, so if you are heterotrophic, you go get your food. If you are autotrophic, you make your own. Okay? Things that eat other living things, heterotrophic. Now, we could say you eat dead things. Okay? Things that are living or were once alive. Sometimes you kill them. Most of the time, you kill that living thing and then eat it. Okay? Like that anaconda did. Autotrophic, you make your own food. Number 4. Oh, and to add this, we'll talk about this later, but in the use of energy, oxygen, number 1 ingredient in using energy. Number 1 ingredient in the use of energy is oxygen. We will be talking about oxygen at a later time. 4, all living things respond to their environment. All living things respond to their environment. Example. Now, this doesn't mean, although in a way it does, I guess. When humans are warm, they sweat to decrease body temperature. Okay? That's a automatic response we have to what's called a stimulus. The stimulus would be warm. Our response is that we decrease, we sweat. You raise your hand, you take a rolled up newspaper and hold it over your dog and he cringes. That's a response to their environment. Okay? Your cat smells a mouse, and so it's always down around this part of your house where there might be a mouse. That's a response to its environment. Okay? You walk outside and the slamming door scares a bird away. That bird responded to its environment. Some other responses to different kinds of animals. A dog, when it gets warm, it pants. When a lizard gets too warm, they go find shade. Now, why do they find shade? Well, number one, they don't have sweat glands. Number two, they're what we call, a term that we'll use again, ectothermic, cold-blooded. And there's a not very funny ad. If you want to read it, you can pause it. Number 5. I didn't put a number here, but I should have. All living things are made of cells. The cell is the basic unit of structure and function of all living things. The cell is the basic unit of structure and function of all living things. What does that mean? Well, basic unit of structure means it's if you were to take a living thing apart into the smallest pieces of it that are still alive, you have a cell. Basic unit of function, the smallest piece that's still alive and can do something is a cell. You have 220 different kinds of cells in you. You can probably think of some quickly: nerve cells, blood cells, bone cells, muscle cells. There are 50 different kinds of just blood cells. Okay? So a living thing, you can have a single cell living thing. And back in the day, you probably made a cell model. We are going to talk about cells at some point at a later time, in about a month. That's the end of our show. Take your notes. Good luck on the quiz tomorrow.